Hey guys, welcome to Dweeb Reviews Castlevania, our fourth part of our five-part review of Season 4, specifically episodes 7 and 8, The Great Work and Death Magic. Last week we ended on a really high note. We got to kind of see the conclusion of, I think the conclusion at least, of Isaac's tale. We got to see the fall of Carmilla, a great episode of just pretty much all action. And then the setup with Alucard and Greta and kind of what leads into this episode. So, the great work, episode 7, more setup for this leading into this final conclusion here. Uh, they've been kind of doing this season where they throw an episode at you where very high action, major story beats are covered. And then they throw an episode at you where it's kind of just set up for the next thing. This was very much set up. Now, they did explore the story of Zamfir, the leader of the underground guard. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was a little bit disappointed by this. You find out that the underground court is dead, but then, it's not just an illusion that the underground guard's putting forward to show strength. Zamfir honestly believes that just because they're royals, they'll come back to life and they're actually asleep. So you kind of find out that she's actually kind of a nutcase, and then she doesn't care about the people at all, and then she does care about the people at all. I gotta say, the introduction of this character, overall, I'm pretty disappointed about this specific character. They've just nailed it on all the other characters and the other character development, building stories that we care about. And Zamfir's is just not one. Because even her sacrifice at the end, when she kind of makes an action to save some innocent during the battle with Reiko or Ratko and his forces. Okay, we hadn't really bonded with her. She wasn't very likable ever. And then we find out she's crazy one episode and then she dies the next episode. So it's such a quick transition. It ends up being that she's more or less just a filler character as of right now. I mean, we have 2 episodes left. I guess they could do something with her. You find out that she's descendant of royal blood, kind of, sort of. I don't know. But her story gets concluded. Mainly, this was all a story to lead Belmont and Sypha to a mirror that's hidden in the underground court that Varney uses to travel to Alucard's castle. Also a little confusing. Plot device, obviously, to get Varney and Sant Germain together at the end of episode 8. But couldn't Varney have just met up with the other vampires that are storming Alucard's castle, or met up with Sant Germain if they were truly homies? It's not really quite clear what Varney's role was yet in supporting Sant Germain and why he was even in Targovist in the first place, if that didn't have something specific to do with the resurrection of Dracula. And if the mirror that he was trying to uncover in Targovista was only a means of transporting him to Dracula's castle, it just seems that there was other ways. I mean, Saint Germain's already there. He's setting it up for them. So, I don't know. The plot beats that are covered in these 2 episodes don't quite make sense, other than being a plot device, a means for Sypha, Belmont, and Alucard to reunite, presumably, in the next episode. That being said, we do get to see the final arc of Ratko. Or Reiko. I think it's Reiko, but the spelling says Ratko. We kind of get to see him in a fight with Trevor. Trevor being inside is not really able to use his whip, so he's fighting with a sword. He ends up using that cross-shaped, specially designed weapon that we had seen at the beginning of episode 7 when he's first introduced to the underground court. Kristen joined me for this episode, but he had said earlier that he wanted to see Trevor get a new weapon. There you go. That's his new weapon that he uses in this episode, and it was cool enough. But really, I think the highlights of this episode are going to be in the scenes featuring Sant Germain, Alucard and the storming of Dracula's castle, and really kind of where it brings this final conclusion, which is we've it's been hinted at now for 2 seasons that they want to resurrect Dracula. I don't know that we ever see him fully resurrected anymore. That was what I was leaning towards. I even kind of hinted that, I believed maybe Varney was going to be like a vessel for Dracula just because he kind of looks like Dracula. But, going into this episode 8, Death Magic, we see this big battle with the city forces of Danesti that have now taken residence at Alucard's castle against a series of crazy creature of the night monsters and vampires, and they just wreck shop. These farmers are not prepared even in the slightest. We do get some cool battle scenes. We see that Alucard has the ability to like summon some sort of fire through his sword and shoot it off in a big wave that kills a bunch of vampires, and just some more cool scenes with the shield and the sword and telekinetic powers and flight. A little bit more relationship building between him and Greta. It seems that Greta, if she survives this, may be kind of the happy ending for Alucard that gets set up at the end of the series, if he actually, survives and gets a happy ending. But I think he will. I doubt that they're going to kill Alucard. Like Chris and I have already discussed, we're both believing that Trevor may pass on at the end of this, and maybe with a pregnant Sypha, maybe with like the resurrection of the Belmont clan. But, who knows? It's very well possible that all of our heroes survive. I hope so, but we'll see. So we see the end of Reiko. We see Varney reunite with Sant Germain, and we get to see Sant Germain finally reveal his true mission to Alucard and Greta. And he reveals it at a time when they're fighting this battle. The battle's actually fueling his spell. They can't ignore the battle to fight him because he's protected himself at a barrier. But if they go down and fight the battle, they're going to leave him completely unattended, and ultimately he may complete his mission. And his mission being that he wants to resurrect Dracula, but not just Dracula. It would seem now that he wants to resurrect Dracula and Dracula's wife, Lisa, into one body, this hermaphroditic being that he can use to help him guide the infinite corridor. So it would seem that his interaction with the alchemist from the earlier episodes had kind of rekindled his own passions for alchemy in Sant Germain, because he does say that not only is his mission to find the woman he loves, but also to complete this great alchemical masterpiece. Sorry. So we'll see where it goes. This was an interesting direction that they took these episodes. I really liked the action that was here in it. Particularly the scenes with Alucard came together very well. I'm excited to see Trevor and Sypha back with Alucard. It would seem to me that although the series' first 3 seasons heavily centered on Trevor as the main character, this season, Trevor and Sypha take a major backseat. I guess the overall plot still carries or is carried in part by them, but I would actually say the character that's bringing the plot forward the most is Sant Germain. I mean, the villain is really the one here that brings the plot forward. It's kind of similar to what they did with like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. In Infinity War and Endgame, they had so many heroes whose stories they wanted to intertwine, bring together, and progress, that the story of the movie is almost told through the perspective of Thanos. If you actually look at kind of what characters come together and what direction we see the plot take, it almost always follows the action of Thanos and then how his actions set up all these circumstances where the other characters can meet together and then join up and fight him. And that's kind of what's going on here. Sant Germain, we know, has a relationship with Trevor and Sypha from the previous season. The introduction of him to Alucard starts to tie Alucard into the story. His links with Varney and Ratko tie Sypha and Trevor into the story. So really the story is being carried by Sant Germain in particular. I like how they did this. I just am uncertain about the story in Targo Vista and why that was kind of made to be a major plot line when it doesn't appear to be actually consequential to the overall story arc. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll show us something new in the next episodes. I hope so. But as of right now, these 2 episodes did a lot to build into the conclusion, the series finale here in just a moment, which is pretty wild. I'm pretty excited to see. This image right here to my right, your left, is of Trevor and Sypha at the end of episode 8, finally jumping through the mirror and transporting into Dracula's castle, where they're going to presumably meet up with Alucard so that our heroes can all band together to fight the forces of evil once again. But overall, the plot to me here that's carrying into the resurrection of Dracula is a little confusing. I'm curious to see where it goes. Maybe had a little bit of filler that wasn't quite needed. That could have been maybe cut down a little bit, but I'm not complaining. I'm really excited for this next episode, and we're gonna finally be seeing how this story wraps up. I'm really hoping that that we get a fulfilling conclusion, because this has been a great series. This has been a great season, and knowing that it ends here is a little bit of a bummer. I mean, obviously, there's always the option to see more Castlevania, to see it through the eyes of new members of the Belmont clan, or, we can even get Alucard to return because, he's immortal, really. So we'll see. But for now, we know this to be the series finale, and I'm really excited to see how it ends. So please let me know what you guys thought about these 2 episodes. Comment down below, like and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. This is Dweeb Culture, Dweeb Reviews Castlevania. Also check out our reviews of Star Wars The Bad Batch. And after this next episode that'll be filming here in just a day or 2, we're going to start a journey on something new, which I will reveal a little later. Thank you guys for tuning in, and have a good one.